This is an incoming transmission from the Jersey Shore.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, powered by McLean Advisory Group. Today you'll hear some of the most important financial information and wealth-building techniques available anywhere.
Let's get this party started, huh?
Do you have a question for Scott and the team?
Am I on the air?
609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646.
We'll get that information to them by radio.
Now, Financial Insanity with Scott McLean.
A new year always brings some change, and well, there's going to be some change for programs like Social Security, Medicare, also the IRS making some changes that could be pretty costly for some of you. So we're going to talk about that and more. This is Financial Insanity. I'm Alex Dingman alongside Scott McLean. And Scott, how's it going, my friend? Happy holidays to you. Exciting time of the year, New Year's, but you always got to be looking ahead too. And I know there's some changes that could be.
You gotta look ahead. And
Yep.
I was looking ahead last night, looking behind for those wonderful Philadelphia crows. What's it? Philadelphia birds.
They look like
eagles. Sorry.
Yeah, more crows lately. That's for sure.
Man, 3 in a row. So if you're out there and you're an Eagle fan, I know my daughter and her husband and my grandson, they are Eagles fan up the wall. I am seeing a slow deterioration. Hopefully they'll get back in their game. I mean, you got the Dolphins is 10-4. You got the Ravens 11-3. The Jaguars they're taking a nap 8-6. Are you like, what's going on? And nothing's certain when you talk about football. Nothing's certain when you talk about taxes.
Nope.
Nothing's certain when you talk about Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. A lot is changing, Alex, and obviously that's why we're doing this show today, because we really want to really help people understand you've got to pay attention to what's going on. And if you don't have a financial advisor, you definitely want to start digging deep, because a lot of changes are happening for 2024. But
Yeah.
I guess we're talking a little bit about what's going on right now, Alex. What's on your heart?
Yeah, and so that's the only thing that really is certain, is that there will be change. And the IRS, they announced an increase in the interest penalty on the underpayment of estimated taxes. So, no surprise here, the IRS trying to get more and more of our money. But what can we do in this situation, Scott, to protect ourselves?
Well, you really need to, if you're with an advisor and he or she does not look at the tax returns, it's probably important that you could probably set a appointment up with your financial advisor and your tax return to talk about you. That's why we do it at our firm. I think that's important. Now, of course, they made some changes, and some of the changes they've made are obviously could be substantial. The cost of living obviously is 3.2. The Social Security, that's gone up. Taxation, they're going to start changing the taxation. So if you're paying into Social Security, they changed that from I think it was 168,000 now. It was 160,000. So they want more money for the richer people. Frankly, if they did a flat tax, no matter what you make, you should pay a tax. I kind of like that idea, even though I would be paying a lot in taxes into Social Security. That could really help our deficit, because we are looking for a problem in 2023, Alex. So for those of you getting Social Security in a few more years, please start saving a lot of money. Start plowing money away for your retirement, because it's going to be a big change when that happens.
Yep. And if you have questions about any of the upcoming changes, the number 609-488-4646, the number for Scott and his team, McLean Advisory Group, 609-488-4646. And I know when we're talking about this IRS change, it's really going to impact self-employed workers, gig workers, independent contractors. And so, they got to look at their tax a little differently. How do you consult these folks, these small business owners, self-employed people that are trying to prepare for retirement?
So, maybe, by the way, let me just put a shout out to a periodical. You guys can sign up, for those of you that are self-employed Maybe you started a little business, good for you. You started a company, good for you, and can maybe have a few people. But the issue, the self-employed contractors, the gig workers, these are individuals really that are not traditionally employees, but a company that, of course, they built, but they work for themselves. And as you work for themselves, the underpayment penalty is going to pop up. The IRS is going to start looking at that. So you want to be really cognizant of that. Typically what happens when individuals don't withhold or pay sufficient estimated tax, the IRS, called their money, the penalty, of course, meant to encourage people to pay taxes on time. They don't pay us on time, but they want us to pay on time.
Sure.
The IRS also expects individuals to accurately really estimate the pay their taxes. And then they're going to go, of course, as they're hiring more and more people to make sure you're paying the tax. So I guess in summary, the warning for self-employed workers, independent contractors, they call them the gig workers that don't pay the right amount of taxes. Really, they want to start to hammer down on that. I encourage you to look at a periodical. If you're listening to me right now, write this down, Bradford Tax Institute. It is a wonderful periodical. You can sign up for it. That gentleman, I read a lot of different periodicals, Alex, and a lot of different stuff that could be way over people's head. This guy brings it from the 35,000 feet right down to your level.
That's what I need.
Tell you. So it's called Bradford, Bradford Tax Institute. I get nothing from this plug. They don't even know I'm actually plugging this. But I can tell you, I do read it. It's a very good periodical. So if you're self-employed, I really encourage you to look at this. You think the cost of living is what? 3.2, but they've taken a lot of stuff out of that. Maximum taxes. Then, of course, the maximum benefits increase from $3,600 for Social Security to $3,800. So they're increasing that. But again, they're changing a lot of things right now, and it's going to continue to change.
Yeah. Well, and you are able to stay on top of this stuff. And like you said, pointing that periodical as well for even more detailed information. But that's just you being wise to what's out there and what people need. And, Social Security, you hit on this a little bit, but some changes coming. What's important for folks to know? What can they expect? And when's the best time to start taking these benefits? And how do you determine that?
Good thing, Alex, is it's in the morning. If you're listening to me right now, and so I don't want you to crack out the eggnog with the booze. So put the booze away because
it's the holidays, though, Scott. It's the holidays, so it doesn't count.
Hear this news. You see what they're looking at. This Social Security is going to be exhausted. This trust fund. It's predicted 2034. Now, I've done several different workshops. I've looked at the numbers. So whether it's 2034 or 2033, then the benefits will be cut by 23%. So let's just use a quick number, which is why I said at the very beginning of the show, if you're saving money, save more. Really be diligent right now. Really be focused. And don't worry about tomorrow. Worry about today, meaning save today. Don't look at it, and then it'll start to increase for tomorrow. But again, that's going to be a 23% decrease if it's not fixed. The next thing they can do is, of course, Social Security and Medicare, they both face long-term financial shortfalls, which under the scheduled, and they should fix this, the cost both programs will of course grow much faster. And the gross domestic product, GDP, we've got to get that thing going through mid-2030s. This is primarily due to the rapid aging people like me, Alex, not you. So they need more money to pay us old dogs out there, and then old dogettes, ladies out there. So they're needing more money, and there's going to have a shortfall. And then, of course, Medicare Part B, they're changing that from $174.70 for 2024, which is a $9.80 increase from last year. And of course, I'm one of those guys in there that has to pay into the deal. And of course, all deductibles for Part B will be, of course, $240 from 2024. That's the increase of $14. So again, these small little, it's like when I went to McDonald's, I don't usually go there, and I wanted to get me a Happy Meal. I thought they were really cheap until I paid. I probably had to use 3 credit cards to pay for the damn Happy Meal. Those damn things are expensive. I haven't been there in so long, and I got a Happy Meal. Well, this is a Happy Meal. It slowly is going to pull money out of your wallet that you don't feel, what's an extra $10? What's an extra $20? let me make sure you understand. It
Yep.
stinking adds up, Alex.
Absolutely. And whether it's Social Security, taxes, Medicare, and those premiums going up, I mean, there's a lot of things to consider, Scott, and we should be considering them all year. But as we go into the new year, it's a natural time to start thinking about changes and planning for these changes. And all this plays into that comprehensive strategy, Scott, and that's something where you can step in and do a high level and look at all these different factors, because it can be a lot for one person to consider.
Alex, there's so many other types of benefits. For example, my children, when they were younger, of course, they came into the office and they cleaned the garbage, they vacuumed the floor at our firm, and I put them on payroll. And that could be some of you out there thinking about that. Now, you want to be honest and keep your records, because the IRS comes in. Okay, how come you got a 1-year-old vacuuming? Well, that doesn't look very good. I'm not telling you how to do it as a tax person. You want to get your right accountant, but there are very, very unique tools and legal loopholes you want to find out, especially for those self-employed workers, those independent contractors. They call them the gig workers. And of course, the risk of being hit with underpayment penalties is high. We spoke about that earlier, Alex. And I don't want to hear people saying, I wasn't ready for it. Well, lack of knowledge isn't going to hold it when they start knocking on your door. And they are going to try to find extra money, Alex.
Yeah, if people want more knowledge, Scott, how can people get a hold of you?
They want to give our shout out, 609-488-4646. Give us a call. If you need a tax question, maybe we get our tax guys and gals on the phone with you. We have a unique service for our clients. Alex, I don't know if I've ever said this, but I don't know if you know this, but for our financial clients that are clients with McLean Advisory Group, we charge $125 for a tax return for state and federal. And of course, if they have some other odds and ends, extra real estate, might be a couple of dollars more. But we don't really try to gouge people. And for those who are looking for a tax place, it's right around $160. But then we add the insurance rider. This is in case you get audited, and that's an extra $15. So either way, I'm not begging for your business. I'll make that very clear. We are not begging for your business. We just built the tax practice because, Alex, when a lovely husband or wife passes away and they've been doing the taxes, all of a sudden their spouse is left to the wolves. They don't know what to do. And that's why we actually started the tax practice in 2008 to really help guide that
That's great.
Person, that spouse that's unaware that now they're in a new tax bracket. Now we need to do some tax planning with investments. And that's why we did that, Alex.
No, that is great. And so again, that number 609-488-4646. When we come back, we're going to talk about navigating taxes in retirement. This is Financial Insanity.
Hi, this is Bonnie from McLean Advisory Group, wishing you comfort, hope, and joy. Happy holidays. Thanks for listening.
Who likes uncertainty? Wall Street certainly does not. With near record inflation and partisan politics, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. What will America's future look like? What will your future look like? Will your taxes go up? Will your savings go down? For more than 40 years here in the Jersey Shore area, Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group have seen uncertainty come and go. No matter what the future holds, Scott can help you create a plan designed to preserve your finances in uncertain times. And it's not a matter of if those uncertain times will show up, but when. Call 609-488-4646 now to meet with Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group. If uncertainty is causing you to feel insecure, Scott McLean might be able to help. Call 609-488-4646 and schedule your visit today. Again, that's 609-488-4646. Investment advice is offered through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, presented by McLean Advisory Group.
Today, we are talking about why it's important to work with an investment advisor who can help you navigate the complex legal and tax landscape. Oh yeah, it's a lot out there. Remember, if you have any questions, the number 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group. And Scott, please talk to me a little bit about why it's important to discuss retirement's complex legal and tax issues with an advisor.
I want to drive to Florida.
Okay.
The worst place to drive from New Jersey, Alex, is when you get to that D.C. belt. I think many of you can really relate to the D.C. belt. So frankly, when we're hauling our horses, I actually put the map on. I wake my wife up since I'm driving the 6-horse.
Sure.
I just don't want to. I want to go on the outer belt. Everybody knows what I'm talking about because you get stuck in the middle of the D.C. traffic. It is a flippin' nightmare. And of course, especially when you're pulling animals. Why do I tell you that? Well, in the preparation, I actually have my GPS set up, and then of course we have water in the stalls. We have hay in the stall. It's a lot of work when you're moving animals from point A to point B. It's a lot of work when you're planning a trip. And when you plan a trip, do you have, in my mind, do I have enough tools to maybe, what if the tires go flat? Who do I call? What if something happens? And it happened to us just last year when it was a terrible accident my daughter and my wife got into.
Right.
But notwithstanding, when you're in preparation for a long trip, by the way, you don't stop. For those of you who are unaware of animals, when you're driving horses, you don't stop. It's about a 16 to 18-hour drive where we're going, and you just keep going. So obviously you take a couple potty breaks, maybe get a little something to eat, but it's a nonstop trip. And the horses, of course, need to get their self set up when they get there. What am I talking about? Planning for a long trip requires strategic planning. You might not think about checking the air and the pressure and oil, maybe checking the all the lube and the car's up to date, the bearings. Every little item could cause a tremendous nightmare. When it comes to retirement, Alex, I'm not sure if you're aware, but when you're taking money out of your retirement income, that's the tax return. When you're planning to pull money out, it's all of the investments, whether they're IRAs or 401ks or 403bs, whether they're your non-qualified money, meaning non-qualified money that is taxed differently, long-term capital gains, short-term capital gains. When you invest in the world of investments, you're investing in either ETFs or mutual funds or stocks, depending which, of course, is the lowest price, lowest fee. And then, of course, you're looking at how do I now put all of this together and to design a plan where in the first phase of retirement, I call it the go-go years. You're going to screw up in the go-go years, Alex, but that's part of the financial planning process.
Sure.
Which could lead your money to a mousetrap, which is what I put in my book. The financial planning process can lead your money to a mousetrap. What I mean? Not paying attention to taxes, not paying attention to the legal ramifications, and then not paying attention to when you're pulling money out. How is it structured? You know, if you're going through that right now, I think about this all the time, Alex. I would love to speak to you off the air. I've been doing this now. I think it's the 43rd year of my industry, my business. I've been involved. I am still good looking. I may be a lot older, but I can tell you, when it comes to retirement or planning your retirement, 609-488-4646 could be the best number you could ever had. Why? Well, 609-488-4646. That phone number could ask me questions off the air. No cost. We don't charge. We've been this nonprofit radio station for so many years at WBNJ, and the reason we're here is because all we do is offer educational information for you. So when you're in retirement and planning your retirement, you, of course, have a resource center to go to. How do I do this? And what I find in my world of financial planning as a mousetrap, I talk about as the financial planning leads your money to a mousetrap, how do we put all of this together? There's nothing worse than making a cake and leaving the wrong ingredient out or too much salt. It ruins everything. And so when you think about a financial advisor, did the financial advisor look at the tax ramifications, the legal ramifications, and the investment ramifications? Because this could be a real trap that you don't even know you're in. So I'd love to be able to speak to anybody. If you have questions right now, I have answers, 609-488-4646. But notwithstanding, I think, Alex, when we talk about the go-go years, you're going to be blowing a lot of money. I mean, you go down to, when you're taking a trip to Florida, you're going to spend money in gas. If you're really frugal like me, you try to find the best gas price. You want to make sure, is it big enough to turn around this big trailer if you're doing that? Or for those of you in a speed race car, you want to make sure, I don't know how these people are going to be doing these electric cars. You got to stop every so many miles, but I want to keep going. But looking at retirement, Alex, if you're not paying attention, the financial advisor is not looking at the whole picture. It would be like going to a doctor. Alex, let me give you an example of you out there.
Yeah.
Alex comes to me. I am Dr. McLean. And Alex says, well, Scott, I've been having these headaches for the past 5 years coming to you. Do you think, and Alex says, Scott, do you think I should get an MRI? And if I said to Alex, that's a good idea. Scott, Alex then says to me, Scott, do you think I should get a EKG and maybe a blood test and urine test? And what do you think? And I say, Alex, that's a great idea. If you didn't fire me immediately, then you're just double dumb. What I mean? If the advisor is not asking deep questions like, do you have a special needs son or daughter? Oh, they're Down syndrome? And they live with you, and how do you plan on taking care of them? That's not a financial discussion, but it really is. How is the child going to be taken care of? These questions are really deep, and they will be part of your retirement. I know you're probably thinking, if you're listening right now, well, what's that got to do with retirement? Everything. Again, when you're taking that trip from New Jersey to Florida, and you want to avoid the D.C. roundabout, well, you need to really be on your game. So in the early years, it's a go-go years. You might be spending a little bit more money, but having somebody hold you accountable. Then you got the slow-go years. You don't want to do as much. You did it. You done it. Maybe you don't want to do it again. And so maybe your spending is a little bit less. And then the no-go years. No, I don't want to do it. Go have fun, kids. Here's a couple bucks. Enjoy life. How is your money spent down? What is the game plan? And this is not a set it and forget it deal. This is almost like going to the masseuse every year because you need a tune-up, or maybe the chiropractor, to making sure your money is in a good place.
And Scott, really important question, and the most important question you get all day. What does a bee use to brush its hair?
A bee?
Yeah.
Bumblebee.
Like a bumblebee. What does it use to brush its little hair?
I don't know.
A honeycomb.
Yeah, dude, are you drinking?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
No. It's pure gold.
I love it.
609-488-4646 is the number. 609-488-4646. Just add a .com. And real quickly here, about a minute left, but they might get the pleasure of hearing Bonnie on the other end. I know Bonnie is huge to what you do over there, and she's somebody, if you don't get a hold of Scott when you call, Bonnie will point you in the right direction, right?
She will do it. She takes care of my books. She is amazing, and I can tell you, if ever people come into our office, and you want to get more information, I'd love to get your hands on my book, The Three Blind Mice, How the Financial Planning Process Leads Your Money. It's totally complimentary. You come visit with me. That's my gift to you. If you like to read, just don't take it because it's not made for firewood, but it's made to fire you up to get your finances in order.
609-488-4646. Again, 609-488-4646. Just add a .com for the website. When we come back, we're going to continue talking about how to navigate through the complex legal and tax landscape in retirement. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, this is Scott McLean. I want to wish you guys a tremendous, wonderful holiday. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and all the lovely greetings we have for you. proud to be in your life as we try to give you the financial information so you don't go insane. Happy holidays.
It's nice when you get everything on your list in one place, isn't it? Scott McLean from McLean Advisory Group agrees. That's why he offers comprehensive retirement planning all under one roof. You shouldn't have to go one place for tax planning, another for estate planning, and another for retirement income planning. That's why McLean Advisory Group was started. Scott wanted to build a company that could help families with all aspects of their retirement planning. McLean Advisory Group is more than just convenient. They're knowledgeable and experienced. And for answers for your questions, you can set up a meeting with Scott and his team to talk about your retirement. 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. Use the same number to reach the team online. 609-488-4646.com. Investment advisory services are offered through Bellpoint Asset Management, LLC. Firm offers insurance services but does not provide tax or legal advice.
I'm on the fence about a real tree. I've done the real tree. When you have that fake one that's in 3 different pieces, you just bust it out every year and you take a second and it's already got the lights attached to plug it in and boom.
I do like the smell. I do like the smell of those Christmas trees.
Yeah, but you can get that smell, in different ways. But anyway.
We made it back. This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, presented by McLean Advisory Group.
Today we are talking about why it is so important to work with an investment advisor who can help you navigate the complex legal and tax landscape. Remember, if you have any questions, the number is 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. I'm Alex Dingman, here with the more important member of the show, Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group. And Scott, I know we were talking here just about really equating getting ready for retirement a lot like a big road trip. And I thought you had a great analogy. If you just recap again, the road trips that you take here with your horses down to Florida, and what does that have to do with planning for retirement, Scott?
As you plan a road trip, whether you're taking animals or not, it requires a lot of work. And I was talking about before, when you're taking these horses and you're pulling behind the truck, you want to make sure everything's all set up. Animals, the hay, the feed, the water. It's a nonstop trip. It's 18 hours. It's a long trip. It's an arduous trip. And all of a sudden you get a flat tire. Do I have tools? And thinking of every possible indication that could slow your trip down or cause your trip to turn into a catastrophe. Same thing as retirement. And so when I think about all the tax and legal issues where I think a lot of people are just absolutely not paying attention to it, all of a sudden you're doing well and you or your lovely spouse are having a wonderful time. You take a trip, you come back, you're out the golf course and you swing the ball, you hit the ball, whatever it is. And as you can tell, I'm not a golfer. and all of a sudden you wake up the next day and you're sore. You find out that maybe your blood count's changing, your white counts are changing. Do I have my wife? Can she call because I go to the doctor? Who's the power of attorney for healthcare matters? Just because you're married, she's not or he is not the one in charge. Or maybe your partner. They're not in charge unless you have a document called Power of Attorney for Healthcare Matters. Now, why is this important with finances? As a fiduciary in our firm, I want to make sure my people that I work with, my clients are buttoned up. I need just ironclad buttoned up. I want to see the will, power of attorney, living will, healthcare directive. Maybe you need a trust. Maybe you need a special needs trust. Maybe you've got some knucklehead kids that if you gave them $1, they're going to spend $4. Maybe you need a trust that'll delineate or pay out the money on a monthly basis. This is so, so important. By forgetting the taxes is like not filling up the tank all the way to the top. And you have to make unforeseen stops. You can't make unforeseen stops. Or maybe making sure the tires are inflated on this long trip, but you're not paying attention to the tires, and now you're getting worse gas mileage, and you could have a blowout, which could cause your trip from 17 hours to 24 hours. Or maybe you're not paying attention to the legal matters. What happens? God calls you home. Who gets your money? and maybe you have a ex-spouse as a beneficiary you forgot to change when you got remarried. Again, another legal battle just set up down the road. Or maybe you're just sitting there and you think about all the legal aspects and tax aspects, and you pass money on to the children or to the grandchildren. How is that taxable? Can I avoid taxes? Alex, I don't know about you, but if you're not paying attention as a fiduciary for the financial areas, I believe, in my mind, as the three blind mice, they need to talk to each other. The three blind mice would be your accountant, your financial advisor, and of course your legal. Whether they get together or not, the advisor, I believe, should be the quarterback. He should look at the whole play and then guide as you're going on this journey called retirement. What if this happens? How is it taken care of? What if your lights start to go dim and now you got to go to a nursing home? How does that take place? What are the taxes involved if you have to pull extra money out? Should I put money into a trust? If you're thinking about those questions, well, give yourself a hand. Give yourself a clap. Because if you're thinking about it now, take action. There's nothing worse than brilliant people taking no action. I call them double dumb. Don't be double dumb. Take action. When people give us a call at our studios and ask questions at 609-488-4646, when they ask these questions, Alex, and they give us a call or they go to our website at 609-488-4646.com, we've got some neat things that we're adding to our site to help you think through this. I call it the love affair of finances. Your will or your legal documents, your financial documents, and then your tax documents. They must be looked together almost like, as I say in my book, like when I talk in my book, I talk of the composer. Well, the composer is one. Now we've got the conductor who's going to take the composer's music, go to the wonderful orchestra, and now let's play this beautiful music. Or could it be a disastrous music and it doesn't play out? I can tell you, as a musician, one wrong note can be picked up by everybody. One wrong note in your financial plan could be picked up by the crows and the clowns that show up at the funeral.
Yeah.
Do you have them in your life? I guarantee they're there somewhere. 609-488-4646. Write that number down for yourself. If you have questions, I have answers. And if I don't have answers, not act like a smarty pants, I guarantee you I can call so many people at the push of a button. I can call brilliant people that can answer some questions or get answers for you, because there's nothing worse than going into retirement or going into a long trip and not prepared. This is a nightmare.
Well, and truly smart people surround themselves with even smarter people like you just talked about. And so Scott can be that for you, for your finances. 609-488-4646. Now, Scott's one thing that's very important, and I know you do this, but making sure that you have an advisor who's keeping up with the latest legal and tax changes that could affect your investments, because it's not a set it and forget it. It's not a, well, this was right 10, 20 years ago, I'm sure everything is fine. No, you got to have somebody like Scott McLean there looking at these things and making sure that the right choices are being made at the right times.
You could have said that any better. I think the IRS, this is not a laughing matter, even though the IRS, sometimes people get scared. I think the key is an IRS starts knocking on your door for unpaid taxes or penalty, or now we're in probate. Now we have to pay a whole bunch more money when you could have maybe had set your estate up to be as probate free as possible. Or maybe you don't have the legal documents and your spouse, your child, maybe they don't have a power of attorney, and now you've got to make decisions. By not paying attention to those details, not only causes your car to go off the road, or I should say your finances to go off the road, but it also, this undue stress and worry. I wonder, some of you may be going through a health issue. And if you're going through a health issue right now, I can pray for you. But on top of a health issue, let me get to the nitty-gritty. Do you have a power of attorney? Do you have a backup power of attorney for healthcare matters? and or financial matters, both. There's two different types. And by not paying attention to, I believe, the financial advisor's job, I believe, or I take it personally, if I don't know all about my clients and know what to do if their lights go dim or maybe they go out, or maybe there's a child that maybe we need to protect from money going to the child, we need to open up a trust account. How do I protect this money that's been endowed to me to protect them as a fiduciary? How can I make sure the best of my ability and capability to educate a client in these areas? And my clients are my friends. Am I doing the very best to make sure that you are buttoned up in these areas? And if not, it is my job, I believe personally, to call your lawyer. Hey, I've noticed this in the agreement. How come there's not a backup to the power of attorney? How come there's not a backup to the executor? I hear the daughter is Down syndrome. How come you don't have a special needs trust planned inside the estate? And when I see this, it's almost like all the advisors today, most of them, not all of them, just want to say, what can I get? Not how can I help? How can I get something out of you? Oh, and they push it off like Daddy always said, don't push off a problem when you can handle it.
Yep.
Well, let's call this guy, let him handle it. No, it should be the quarterback, the financial power, the financial guy or gal in your life that would make those calls, because chances are you don't know the questions you're asking, but the financial person involved should know those questions.
609-488-4646 if you have questions. The number for Scott and his team, 609-488-4646. Just a couple moments left, but I wanted you to hit on something because you were talking and going through the different details that someone must think about, and a lot of the stuff, it's not fun to think about. You don't want to think about having a plan for your health problems in the future. I want to talk about going on a trip. Those are the kind of things. But what you can do, Scott, is you can step in, and because sometimes when we're talking about our own money or our own lives, our heart can get in the way of our own head. Meaning, what we care about and when we want something to be true, and sometimes that can mask what we should be doing. And that's where you can step in, Scott, and not that you're heartless. I know you care about everybody that you're dealing with, but you can also look at things critically and think about, okay, what makes the most sense? What's the smartest thing here? What's going to have the least amount of bad consequences? And sometimes you have to step in and say, hey, I know this is really important to you, and I know why it is. Let me explain to you here why this is an alternative way to think about things that could actually be better for you in the long run.
The questions I ask people, or my advisors ask people, are questions that you might have thought about but kind of push it away because it's too hard to think about. Like maybe your spouse's lights are going dim. Maybe they have to go to a nursing home. Do you take them home or not? How do I handle it? How do I handle the money? These are really, really questions that it hits your heart and you don't want to face it. And I'd rather bring it out up front versus wait until the last minute and causing more trouble, more problems later. So you've got to ask these hard questions. For example, let's say you have a son or a daughter, and if they inherit your money, are they going to blow it? Or maybe they've got a wife, or I should say a spouse, a husband or wife, a spouse that, you lost your relationship with your son or daughter because the spouse pulled you away from your child. How do you pass the money on? These are real questions that you don't want to talk about because this is really close to heart. And you kind of get, I've had people come to my office, Alex, and we talk about these areas because, again, it's about your money and buttoning up your estate. But again, we've got to ask deep questions. And how do we pass the money on? And all of a sudden you have an estranged child because of a spouse, possibly. Or maybe they have a special needs son or daughter, because we handle a lot of that. And all of a sudden they have their estate set up wrong. You pass away, your wife or your spouse passes away, the money goes to your son, but your son passed away. Now, how does that money go down? Do you want it to go to the spouse or your children? Well, maybe you need a testamentary trust to make sure it goes to the child, and maybe a different trustee because you maybe don't want the spouses to handle it. you want someone else because they could get remarried and now your money goes to the new family. These are questions you don't want to think about. No one wants to talk about your kids passing. By the way, it happened in my family. You guys understand, I've been through some challenges that I'm able to take from my life experiences, put it inside of my financial practice, and help who? Help those of you listening right now. Because when you've been through a bump in the road, well, maybe you just know how to avoid that bump for someone else. And they don't have to go through the anxiety, stress, excessive taxes, and the crows and the clowns that eventually shows up at the funeral. That's chapter 11 of our book, Alex. If you want chapter 11, I'll email to you. Call Bonnie, 609-488-4646. Ask for chapter 11. We can email it to you today with totally no cost, no obligation. I just give Bonnie a call, 609-488-4646, and say, Bonnie, I'd like to read chapter 6 of Scott's book. I'm not a good reader, but I'd like to read that. I can tell you, you will love it. You'll hear my life experiences and action steps that you can apply today, not tomorrow. Don't be double done with all this knowledge. Take action. Don't put it off.
More financial insanity with Scott McLean on the way. This is Alex Dingman of Financial Insanity with Scott McLean. Wishing you a happy holidays. I hope you have good health and get everything on your wish list. Thanks for listening.
Who likes uncertainty? Wall Street certainly does not. With near record inflation and partisan politics, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. What will America's future look like? What will your future look like? Will your taxes go up? Will your savings go down? For more than 40 years here in the Jersey Shore area, Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group have seen uncertainty come and go. No matter what the future holds, Scott can help you create a plan designed to preserve your finances in uncertain times. And it's not a matter of if those uncertain times will show up, but when. Call 609-488-4646 now to meet with Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group. If uncertainty is causing you to feel insecure, Scott McLean might be able to help. Call 609-488-4646 and schedule your visit today. Again, that's 609-488-4646. Investment advice is offered through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
The basics of special needs benefits and trust planning. Talking about that today. This is Financial Insanity. I'm Alex Dingman, alongside, as always, Scott McLean of McLean Advisory Group. And then also, maybe his better half, I don't know, but special guest Dave Connolly, lawyer in the area for over 40 years and is now a consultant for the firm of Elizabeth Apollo, of course. But Dave, coming in here to educate us a little bit about a very important topic, because maybe your current advisor hasn't asked these important questions, and this is something that should be checked in on a yearly basis because things can change. But talking about taking care of someone with special needs and talking about the benefits that go into that. And Dave, this is important stuff because there are resources out there that folks might just not be aware of.
Absolutely. With a special needs child, or adult, you want to be able to take advantage of whatever government entitlement programs there are. There are a myriad of different programs out there. Some of them are means tested, which means that they're critical on your assets and your income. Others you're entitled to regardless, depending upon how long you've worked. The Social Security office would administer them and will determine whether you qualify or not. But the more important ones are Medicaid and SSI. Those are means-tested programs that you have to qualify for. The SSI will pay for your shelter and food. The Medicaid, which is more important, will pay for your medical, such as long-term care, home care, provide you a myriad of different medical resolutions. And if you qualify, it becomes very important to maintain those benefits. The problem is that parents or other people that want to take care of a special needs child or person, they don't understand that if they provide income directly to that person, they get kicked off the entitlement program. And when you're living in a long-term care facility that's costing $12,000 a month and Medicaid's picking up the tab, if you get kicked off, you got a lot of problems. So proper planning has to be performed in order to provide some assistance to the disabled person who is getting the entitlement programs.
Very important. And if you hear something today, the number 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. And Dave, it seems like an obvious question, but why is this so important? What are some of the challenges that somebody is going to face, especially financially, if they are taking care of someone with special needs?
Well, you want to maintain that person on the entitlement programs, as I indicated before. So what does the trust do? The Special Needs Trust provides a quality of life that will allow that disabled person to maintain that quality and still maintain the government assistance. For example, the Medicaid program will pay for the long-term care facility, but other things such as transportation to and from the doctors, recreation, a computer, all of these items are not addressed by Medicaid, and as a result, the Special Needs Trust is set up so that it will provide these tools to the disabled persons to bring them up to a quality of life. So you got a twofold problem. One, to keep the medical benefits flowing in. Two, to bring the person up to a quality of life so that they're not just the basic having their bills paid, the medical bills paid, but have no quality.
Alex, I'm thinking as Dave is sharing this critical information, as we look at clients on a daily basis, we're always asking, how is your wife feeling? How is your husband feeling? How are the kids? Tell me how the kids are doing and the grandkids. This determines, it starts from the first appointment when we ever meet with people to really dive deep, to make sure that all areas of your finances that you're listening to us right now, you out there right now, are all areas buttoned up. And the reason why I say are they buttoned up is because people may not have asked, by the way, how are the grandkids? The reason you ask how the grandkids is could be a special needs grandchild and what kind of benefits. Because if they have in their language per stirpes to pass the bloodline, and then mom and dad pass away and their son had passed away previously, it goes to the bloodline. Now, this is so critical to ask your advisor on a yearly basis, at a minimum on a yearly basis. Hey, are we buttoned up so the Uncle Sam, the crows and the clowns don't show up at the funeral to take my money? And we talk about that in chapter 11 of my book, which is why when I work with Dave for tech since 1983, 84, so many years, and there's a lot of good attorneys out there, but do they work with their financial advisor and their tax advisor as they conglomerate, they collaborate together to protect your assets? And the purpose of these trusts is to what? Protect assets and to get as much that you've paid into the government, you get out. And this is the mistake I can tell you I see so often, Alex.
Absolutely. And that number, 609-488-4646 for Scott and his team at McLean Advisory Group, 609-488-4646. This all part of that holistic approach. That's why Scott brings in a guy like Dave. Not that Scott's not really smart, but he knows to even bring around even smarter people than him to help him with this important stuff.
I always have smarter than people than me, Alex. It makes me look good. But here's the challenge, Alex, as you brought up, which is really, really wise. If you haven't brought this up to your advisor, feel free to give us a call. And the reason why you'd call us is maybe if you want to speak with Dave or speak with Elizabeth, or speak with someone who does this. They do this all the time. This is not a surgeon that is doing surgery once a month or once a year. This is you need to know the game because the rules change so often. And when they change, if they miss one dot, one iota, one area, this is where the problems come out. And when the problems come out, that happens to what? More chaos. And
Right.
so your money could be at risk. Hey, if you want to get a hold of Dave, call my office. He does the estate planning, then along with Elizabeth. He's our consultant here at 609-488-4646. This topic no one likes to talk about, but I like to talk about it because, again, it's part of buttoning up, making sure your finances are really set up and as best as possible bulletproof for any of the crows and clowns that show up at the funeral or shows up when your lights are going dim, or maybe your spouse's lights is going dim, and your spouse, maybe you need to have an irrevocable trust. Maybe you start setting assets for your mom and dad. Dave, which he didn't say, is a veteran receiving 100% of veterans benefits. He served in Vietnam and he survived it, although he's gone through a lot of challenges. But I will tell you, if you're a veteran out there or a spouse of a veteran, there's also benefits in including the benefits that we're talking about today. And this trust could be a great piece of your discussion. Hey, give me a call off the air if you'd like to talk to me, no cost. We're not going to spin you or twist your arm. People have known me for how many years now? It's 13, 14, 15 years on the radio now at 609-488-4646. If we can guide you, if you want me to get a hold of Dave and maybe put you guys together, no cost, no obligation. You can ask him some questions at his office. Please feel free to give me a call, 609-488-4646, because there's nothing worse, Alex, than procrastination. And that is the demon of finance, I've found so often.
Absolutely. As that is Scott McLean. We're being joined by Dave Connolly, also lawyer in the New Jersey area for over 40 years, now a consultant for the firm of Elizabeth Apollo. And we're talking about something very important today. We're talking about special needs benefits. And you hit on something, Scott, there that I think is important, and that is just who are we talking about here when we talk about who qualifies for this? Both when we're talking about someone with special needs, and then also we got to think too from financial. Is there some sort of threshold, or how do you qualify for something like this?
Yeah, most of the time to qualify, you have to be disabled. For some programs, such as Medicare, which is definitely not needs-based, everybody qualifies for Medicare who has worked and has turned 65. Or there's other certain requirements for younger people that they can qualify.
Why are you looking
also
at me, Dave? Oh, I'm turned 65.
So certain programs are needs-based. So there's all different programs. But if you want, we're working on a paper in our office. If you call Scott's office and leave your email, we'll email you the paper, and you can get at least the background. Then you can decide whether you want to pursue it or not.
And what about some common misconceptions or mistakes when it comes to special needs planning? Because I know without some guidance, there's probably some opportunities or some mistakes that could be made if you don't have that guidance.
I think it's the intake, number one, the intake form, the information that you receive. Did they drill down and get as much information as possible? Number two, when can you apply? And is there a time limit? Could there be like a 5-year look back provision? I got a phone call last week where someone says, yeah, we're going to transfer the assets into all 3 of my children's names and we're good. And I'm saying, you're not good. You're still in trouble. You still have the 5-year. And imagine one of the children spends 1/3 of the assets. The other 2 has it. They're going to come after that 1/3 of the assets. So this is a problem, Dave.
Oh, absolutely. Without proper planning, you're not going to get the entitlement or the needs-based benefits. The trust is there to allow you a quality of life while you're still maintaining your SSI and Medicaid benefits. If you qualify for SSI in New Jersey, you're automatically qualified for Medicaid. The qualifications for Medicaid are quite complicated. They're hard to. It's a hard process to go through. But once you do qualify, they're picking up $10,000 a month for the long-term care which is a lot of money if you're in there for 4, 5, or 6 years.
Why not protect your assets? Hey, this is Scott McLean. If we can help you, we would love to help you. 609-488-4646. Financial planning is not just easy. It's not a set it and forget it. This is why you give our studios a call. This is you. Maybe you're facing this. Maybe you're going into this area. 609-488-4646. I'd love to talk to you off the air.
Scott opened up the Veterans Benefit Advisory Group in 2008 to help veterans and their families, guiding them to these important benefits. Again, that number, 609-488-4646. The number for Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group, 609-488-4646. And again, a special salute and thank you to all of our veterans.
This radio program may contain information which has gone regulatory or other significant changes since its original recording. The information and views expressed on today's show is educational in nature and is not intended to be a recommendation for any specific investment, product, strategy, plan, tax, or legal advice. Information presented is believed to be factual and up to date, but we do not guarantee its accuracy. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, a SEC-registered investment advisory firm. McLean Advisory Group and Sound Income Strategies, LLC, are not associated entities.
This radio show is a paid placement.